back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can share, subscribe. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live with the latest PCC Multiverse, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture. Also, as well, of course, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. The world of the NFL heads into the playoffs, and we're covering it like no one else at Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. Plus, also, as well, the state of pro wrestling and more. Go ahead and check us out by subscribing, liking, following us today on Pop Culture Cosmos. And if you do so on Facebook, you'll get the latest news and trends in pop culture as well. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my returning friend, having quite a bit of a New Year's hangover indeed. She is the mistress of all RPG action going on within the realm of Pop Culture Cosmos. Also, as well, go ahead and check out what she's doing today at Vampires at Vitae. And she has a new project she started with the turn of the new year. And I'll let her explain that as well. It is a good friend indeed. You got to go ahead and check her out anytime that she is here expressing her pop culture wisdom. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, I'm going to say this on the air. Happy New Year, my friend.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Little bit later than what we thought it would be, but circumstances and your life is really busy. So.
Yeah, things happen, and goodness gracious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, keeping Robbie Ross in line. Absolutely. That's a big chore in and of itself.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, honestly.
That's what he probably says as well.
Yeah.
But it is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. Please check out what she and Robbie do every day. Right there where you get your podcast at Vampires of Vitae. Plus, I will let her explain her new project within the realm of Wizards and Wine as well. Wild Beyond the Witchlight, all that good stuff. Go ahead, and I will make sure that she gets time to go ahead and express her love for the RPG right there as part of what we do here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it is a great PCC Multiverse we have on hand for everyone out there. Thanks so much for listening. Happy New Year to everyone listening on radio all around the world. Truly appreciate it. Our subjects today includes the latest show dropped on by Disney Plus and Marvel's Echo. Does it enhance anything for the future of the MCU? I'll discuss that here in a minute. Plus also as well, I went to CES. In fact, these legs are tired from being at the Consumer Electronics Show 2024. I have been privileged to be a part of the CES scene since 1996. So I'm looking forward to going ahead and telling you what happened during the course of my trip to CES, the trends, what's going on, what's hot, what's in, what everybody's talking about. So I am going to go ahead and make sure that you know what's going on with CES. That's coming up later in the show. Plus also we've got some new Star Trek and Star Wars news, one of which delighted Melinda when I told it to her. Plus also what zombie film series could be getting a comeback. People are excited about it, including Brett Allen, a fellow podcaster who has a lot of great interviews. You should check out the Brett Allen Show anytime you get a chance. Go ahead and check that out. But yes, he was excited when I dropped the news that there's a zombie series coming up. And hopefully we will go ahead and be able to talk about that on the show as well. But first, my friend, it is Marvel's Echo. Debuted this week. They did a Netflix style dump or drop, however you'd like to say it. I don't want to be too mean and come off a little bit abrasive, but I did watch all 5 episodes. I will say that my time spent at Echo was not as good as what it was for a couple weeks ago with Marvel Marvel's What If season 2. So I don't know as far as if you've caught any of it yet. Is this something that catches your eye? It is part of the Marvel Spotlight series because of its, I guess, adult nature in regards to the violence that's there. So, what are your thoughts as far as the Marvel Echo? Is it something you're going to catch, or have you caught an episode or two yet?
I and I don't want to say this too loudly because as soon as people hear this, I'm gonna get phone calls. But I don't have any plans for Saturday. So Saturday was going to be my Echo day. But everything that I've seen about it and the people that I've spoken to, who I know who have watched it all the way through, have all had positive things to say about it. So I find it that interesting.
I'm glad that they enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
again, I always love it when people enjoy things I don't necessarily enjoy.
Mhm.
And this comes off a derivative of a a TV series in Hawkeye, which to me stands out as the best of
Right.
all the Disney Marvel series. I've said that on the show. It was one of my best of the year it came out. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was meant to do a lot of things and it did them very well. And one of those things was explain a lot about Echo and introduce you to her character, plus also reintroduce you to the Netflix's Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. Current Affair says, I'm glad they finally made a series about Echo the Dolphin. Funny, funny, funny. He's a big time jokester, that Current Affair. Yes, this is actually Marvel Studios, Marvel's Echo. A little bit different there, but Alaqua Cox, or Alaquea Cox, I can't get her name right. Just forgive me for mispronunciation on that. But I will say, as Echo, she does very well to what she can do as far as expressing everything out there. Remember, she is an actress who she does not speak. She uses sign language to communicate as far as that's concerned, and act as far as for everything that she's done in the series. And I thought she portrays her character extremely well. I think Vincent D'Onofrio in his scenes in Kingpin is his usual Netflix brilliant standard. But and I also like the nods and the lore of the Choctaw Nation, of the Native American lore that they went into, and how they incorporate that into the characters and the powers behind Echo that she gains during the course of the series. Spoilers. But the story itself, everything around it, when it deals with any modern stuff, when it deals with as far as the kingpin's underworld and anything of that nature, the organized crime aspect of it, that's all derivative and very samey. Where Hawkeye treated it with a sense of humor, with Trust Bros and all that stuff that they were incorporating there, which made you smile and actually was very entertaining. This they tried to deal with it in a more serious fashion, and to me that was really disappointing, and it was really cut rate, and I think that the whole series suffers for it, so I cannot give it a recommendation. Again, she, I think, deserves better quality material surrounded for her. I think the Choctaw Nation, as far as the lore as it tells it, deserves a little bit more, I guess, quality in writing surrounding it, as far as the other crime elements that came into play. The lore itself, when they dealt with that, that was really interesting. But when they dealt off of it, yeah, that was really not worth watching.
Yeah, some of the stuff that I've been watching, kind of surrounding the show is that the writers and producers actually spent a lot of time with the Choctaw Nation, and
And that
they
part is, again, is the best part of the series.
yeah, so, they spent a lot of time there. They really cared about making sure that they told that story and that they told that story well and that they told it correctly. So, I'm glad to hear that that was a selling point of the show. And honestly, anything that has Vincent D'Onofrio in it at this point is going to get my attention. So,
And Disney and Marvel's What If season 2 had an episode they also dedicated to Native American lore, which I thought was really well done and touched on it absolutely brilliantly, dealing with as far as the Spanish conquistadors, I think, trying to overtake an area populated by Native Americans, and how a Native American gets the hold of the powers of the Tesseract. And yeah, if you got to watch that episode, that was really well done in that sense. And I think that was done much better than what we saw out of Echo. And yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a slight pass, and I think it's just a little bit underwhelming. I think I deal with it as far as I see what they did when they didn't have the highest of confidence in it, so that's why they just put all 5 episodes out there in a non-traditional Netflix style dump of 5 episodes, and there you go. But Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin character is always entertaining,
Mhm.
and he's just not in it enough to be able to save. Again, what's something that to me was disappointing because it's generic paint by the numbers. Organized crime scenes are really redundant, and even though the fight scenes were acceptable, yeah, I just thought it was underwhelming as a whole.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll get into the brass tacks of it maybe next week after I burn through the series on Saturday.
I hope you like it a lot more. New. Sometimes I'm a tough critic on that, but I've seen so much TV when it reminds me when writing and directing seems to me something that I've seen 100 times before.
Mm.
I kind of say, you know what, you're not reaching far enough. And yeah, when they went to the regular scenes as far as what's happening in the modern day, yeah, that's something to me was just really quite disappointing there. But it is Marvel's Echo. It is available now on Disney Plus. Go ahead and check out all 5 episodes. And if you have thoughts on it, please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head to the break and Melinda's best of pop culture in 2023, I want to go ahead and touch on some news items that you are interested in. First up, a new Star Trek movie has
Hmm.
been announced in development. Yay and nay, I say.
That's
Why do I
same.
why
Same.
do I say yay? Yay that they're going to do another Star Trek movie. Yes. But supposedly the synopsis of it will be is that it will take place before the 2009 Star Trek was it Kelvin generation Star Trek,
Yeah.
the one that's gotten the most love from reviewing, rewatching, whatnot. Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana led movie. And there were various times for the past 3 4 5 years that they were going to try and do one more final one together. I'm not sure if that's the case, but this new Star Trek film is going to be outside of their universe. And to me, I find that disappointed that they will not close their, I guess, series with this group that I love so much. Simon Pegg, yeah, just Carl Urban. I love that group so much as far as it's, I really think they clicked. Even in the substandard last movie that they have, they still the just their chemistry works as a team. And I'm just so sad that they will not, well, just looks like right now that they will not get a last opportunity to do one more film.
Yeah, that is too bad. But what else is too bad? The fact that Anson Mount once again does not get an opportunity to get himself on the big screen.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I mean,
that's
come on.
notwithstanding. I still would like to go to Kevin Feige and say, "That's what you did with Anson Mount, is you gave him a character that doesn't
Right?
speak."
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
need I digress on that? But your thoughts on Star Trek before we head to the break?
Yeah, no, I mean, and I say it all the time, bad Trek is better than no Trek. Bad Trek movie, I don't know, maybe I'm starting to get a little bit tired of saying it. Maybe the bad Trek is better than
That's
no
okay. I
Trek.
could just rerun the commercial with that
Does it?
clip if you want.
Yeah, right. But maybe that doesn't apply so much to the movies as it does to the TV shows.
Okay.
Maybe bad Star Trek movies hurt the franchise a little bit more than a bad television series does.
Do
Does
you
that
think
I
do
don't
you
know.
think Dungeons and Dragons, because Paramount produced Dungeons and Dragons, do you think the less than stellar box office returns for a well-received movie might be part of the reason that they just don't have enough confidence in that Kelvin crew?
I No, I don't think so because I
Okay.
I think at that point you're comparing apples to oranges.
Okay.
It's a movie and the actor, yes, but I think that it's two incredibly different scenarios. One's a fantasy film, the other is a sci-fi film, and I
Okay.
I mean, yes, the two often do walk hand in hand together, but I think here there's an absolute distinction, and I don't think that that was on Chris Pine.
Okay. Star Trek is going to go ahead and hopefully get something out there to the theaters. You and I have been clamoring for that. Also, a lot of people have been clamoring for a return for Star Wars to the theaters because they've seemingly blocked out The Last Skywalker from their minds, as Josh did in another ad I still replay to this day. One of our brightest moments of our entire series was when she made the comment about Star Trek and when Josh made the comment about Star Wars. But Star Wars looks like the first movie that will be back after some kind of mix-ups and some changes in the schedule and things of that nature. Although Taika Waititi and there's still others in development that are still going to be there. The Thrawn movies can also be there, although they're going to probably do Ahsoka. Dave Filoni's going to do Ahsoka season 2 first. Is a Mandalorian Grogu movie headed up by Jon Favreau. I think, I was watching one of my favorite YouTube channels, Emergency Awesome, and said that this is probably the safest
Yeah.
way to go. And if you're Disney, I agree. It's the safest way to go. Mandalorian, even he picked up the slow points in the book of Sloba Fett. People like those episodes that were dealing with him. He didn't have the greatest season 3 in the world. It was kind of disappointing to some. I thought it was all right. Season 2 was his highlight as far as I'm concerned. But baby, throw baby Yoda, baby Grogu out there for 2.5 hours, and I think people will be okay.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one. That's gonna back up the Brinks trucks to the movie theaters, and it's going to, make a little bit of cash, I would say.
Also wanted to go ahead and mention before we head to the break 2 more projects, and one of which you might be interested in, and that is 28 days later or 28 weeks later. I'm just going to say, let's say the 28 series. How about that?
Sure, sure, yeah, the
With
28
Danny
zombies.
Boyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the zombie movies that from long ago. The first one starring possible Academy Award winner Cillian Murphy. You never know.
Mhm, mhm.
Danny Boyle, the director, he is returning to direct a sequel trilogy. And there's if it's whether it's 3 movies or just finishing off the last one as a trilogy 28 years later, because he had 28 weeks, 28 days. I'm assuming that the last one would be 28 years later. What are your
Should be.
thoughts about that? Very underrated movies, cult classics, very well thought of, always considered among the very best of zombie movies that are out there.
Yeah, myself, not a huge zombie fan, honestly. I haven't. Well, it's an unreasonable aversion to zombies that I have actually. But
Mm.
I always hear good stuff about the 28 series of zombie films. So I don't expect this one to break that kind of formula that those movies have. So I'm not expecting this one to do poorly or anything like that.
Last but not least, can you go to Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook for me real quick?
Can I like right now? Okay.
Yeah, if you can, on the air. And I want you to go ahead and I want you to scroll down a little bit to other stuff below the 28 weekdays later,
Okay.
below the Star Trek.
Okay.
There's a link because today dropped, and I posted the link on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook for the new Halo Season 2 trailer. And when you look at that JPEG that I put up there, what
Mhm.
do you see?
Hang on. Okay, there's
It's
us.
right. It's
There's
right below Star Trek. Just keep looking below Star Trek. You're gonna
why
find
why
it.
is it only showing me what I posted on Pop Culture Cosmos? Hang on a second.
I don't
I
know.
don't know how I'm
Anyway,
old. I don't know how to navigate Facebook. Just kidding.
that's what
Okay.
my kids say.
Okay, there's
Oh, you're old. You
28.
must like Facebook.
There's Star Trek. There's Master Chief. Is that the one?
Yes. So what do you see with
Ooh.
Master Chief right there? Master Chief in the picture as a promo for season 2, which I believe is coming out in March, if I'm not
Uh,
mistaken.
what do I see?
Yes.
Well, it took me a second
And
to
what do
figure out.
you not see? And also as well.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no helmet.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that made fans from all around the world mad about season 1,
Yeah.
about how he took off his helmet, and it basically had his helmet off for most of the series in season 1.
Yeah.
They're doing it right in your face again for season 2. Absolutely terrible I don't care if the guy wants to show his face off or if he's contracted on that. Master Chief has his helmet on 99% of the time in all the lore, whether it's books, whether it's video games, videos, anything. And yet they choose to go this route. It was considered not just that aspect of it. It was considered by us, I think both Josh and myself, definitely me, as one of the worst aspects, I think, of 2022. I
Yeah.
think it came out. Yes, it was one of the worst of pop culture 2022. I don't really want to go ahead and put the cart in front of the horse and say it's going to be worse again, but that's not getting it off to a sparkling start for someone who appreciates and has enjoyed the Halo lore. Looking right above me there, Melinda. What
Uh-huh.
do you see with Master Chief on
That
Halo 3 right there?
that looks like an awful lot like a helmet.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a helmet.
Yes. That's why I'm so mad at what Paramount is doing to really, just, I don't know, throw a whole lot of gasoline on the fire with Halo fans right now. What
Do you
what are your
do you
thoughts before we head to the break?
Do you suppose it's just a thing about and not necessarily the actor wanting his face to be in there, but for like the writers and the people, coming up with the storyboards and stuff, just having a problem with not being able to see facial expressions? Do you suppose that I don't
I
I'm
don't know.
trying to justify it, and I don't know that I
Okay.
can.
Well, all we talk about this time last year was how well the I mean, just as far as The Last of Us was done as a series because they stayed true to the game.
Yeah.
Halo was one of our worst of 2022 because they did not stay true to the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really pisses me off. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to say it like it is. It does come out on February the 8th. I will be checking it out. I will be suffering through that pain once again because I suffer through stuff like this all the time. Video game adaptations who are finally starting to get some love and appreciation. And I know it did well for Paramount. I know it did well. That's why they're getting a season two. But my God, this really makes me angry.
Yeah,
Ugh.
and but it's I guess it's taking something that is for a and I'm going to use the term loosely here, but like a niche audience and trying to open it up and attract a wider audience who maybe hasn't played Halo before or what have you. Perhaps they're trying to super serve that kind of an audience. Maybe I don't know. I'm still trying to find a justification for it.
Keep finding it because
Yeah,
it ain't there. I'm
just
sorry.
gonna that's gonna keep reaching.
But what are your thoughts out there on a new Star Trek, Star Wars movie, 28 weeks later movie, possibly even a trilogy, and also as well Marvel's Echo and the new Halo Season 2 trailer? What are your thoughts on that? Let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, here it comes. The best of pop culture for 2023. It starts off with Melinda. Melinda, in your infinite wisdom, we've been waiting for this for weeks now. Go ahead, my friend. The floor is now yours on the best of pop culture, anything in pop culture for you for 2023.
I'm actually going to start with a new gadget that I got in 2023. And I can't remember if they were released in 2023 or if it was late 2022.
Mhm.
But if you are a streamer or if you have someone in your life who is and you don't want to, get the mirrorless cameras like like a lot of the streamers and stuff do, you look for alternatives, right? If you haven't come across the Elgato series of lights and microphones and sound pads and cameras, then you need to look into them. We've been with Elgato for a minute. We've been using their stuff. We're not affiliated with them at all. I mean, we're just not. But this was their first camera, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
Mhm.
It was a great little camera. It did a wonderful for us for Vampires and Vitae and for Wizards and Wine when we were heavy into our live streaming. Let me see here. Elgato prime lens, 1080p, 60 frames, 24 millimeter. Perfect. Great little unit. And I believe now that the new version that I'm going to show you here in a second has come out. The price of these has dropped. So these are still very, very good. And, if you get this instead of the newer version, you're not going to be disappointed. However, with that said, this is the new version. It's a little sleeker, it's slimmer, it's a little heavier. to be honest with you. But the difference here is now in the software that you get with these cameras, you can pan and tilt right from the software. You don't have to physically move the camera anymore. So the camera that is on here tonight is one of these. And I have it actually facing, if you look at the lens, it looks like it should be filming that corner over there. But because I have it tilted, you're seeing this different angle from what the camera is actually sitting at. So they're really very cool, super easy to use. I mean, I figured it out. that's that's a credit to Elgato, the fact that I figured this out. But no, I can't say enough good stuff about Elgato and their products. I have yet to be disappointed by anything that I've gotten from them. These are still a little bit pricey. I think these ones are around $200 when I picked them up. But again, that might have been really close to when they first dropped. So they may have come down a little bit in price by now. So, but yeah, just something that you may want to look into. They're always too updating the firmware and the software that it takes to run these cameras too. So just good stuff. They work really well with OBS and Streamlabs and all of the different services that we use. They work really well on Discord, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, good stuff. Love this stuff. Can't get enough of Elgato. So that was probably my favorite tech product that we came into contact with in 2023. My favorite video games, I mean, really, there were only two that I seriously played in 2023, and I have to put them both on the list, and I have to do it because number one, Diablo 4 will Diablo just forever is going to have a best of space on my list. It doesn't matter what year it comes out. It's my best of 2027, quite frankly, and 2037 and 2047. And anyway, really enjoyed it. It still feels like Diablo. If you haven't picked up the game yet, you've been kind of thinking about it. It feels like a solid Diablo game, and they've brought back a couple of stuff from earlier editions that you see pop up in the game, and things like that. So it's another fun one. The other, of course, everybody's been talking about that, and that is going to be Baldur's Gate. Yes, do yourself a favor and get it, even if
Baldur's
you're
Gate 3.
yeah,
Baldur's Gate.
even if you're not like a D&D fan, Baldur's Gate 3 is it's going to knock your socks off. It's a really fun game to play, and I love that when you're setting up your characters, you can set it up so you have like a balanced game between RP and combat. You can have an RP heavy version of the game, that kind of stuff. You can really kind of control your gaming experience with how you set up your character in the very beginning. I most recently last night, Gerald, I don't remember if you remember my half orc barbarian named Maddie.
I do.
Well, I've created her in Baldur's Gate 3,
I
and
saw.
yeah, and she's doing all right. She's doing all right. I'm pleased as punch. So that's been really
How
fun.
is she with doors?
You know what? I only played long enough yesterday to get myself off of the opening kind of scene that you're into. So I've just gotten out of the sphincter doors. So there's not a whole lot of beating those ones, I don't think.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, no, but really good stuff. Really fun, and easy to lose hours in that game for sure.
All
Definitely easy
right.
to get carried away in. If you're looking for a new tabletop RPG experience, I know technically maybe 2022, but we got a hold of it in 2023. Vaesen, this is a really cool game. It's really fun. It's based on Celtic folklore, and it uses really familiar systems. It feels a lot like if you're playing Call of Cthulhu. It kind of has that kind of feel to it. It's mysterious, it's dark, and unlike D&D, in this one, baby, you don't want to fight those monsters. They will get you. So if you've been looking for something a little bit different to introduce your table to, consider Vaesen. It's really, really great, and we got this one from Free League Publishing, so big thank you to them for the hookup on that one.
They've been so tremendous with us.
Yeah.
Freely Publishing is just absolutely just a tremendous organization to work with. In fact, I might actually have a little bit of something that I'd like to go ahead and throw out there as well for the best of
Oh.
for my best of. But we'll go ahead and talk about that on next week's program as well.
Okay. I'm going to switch over to music for a moment because I discovered Sleep Token this year. And if you haven't discovered Sleep Token yet, I am jealous because the first time you listen to them, because you're not going to know what to expect, right? They call them, I mean, there's a lot of people who've been trying to categorize the band and put them in some kind of category. Some people call them a metal band, some people call them like just a heavier rock band. Other people are referring to it as sexy core, which I thought was interesting. But their album "Take Me Back to Eden" came out this year, and it was the album that I caught the Sleep Token wave on. And just every time I start to listen to an album, before I know it, the entire album has gone by, and I'm always left wanting to hear more. So, if you're not familiar with Sleep Token, make 2024 the year that you discover them, because they really are fantastic. They have really interesting, kind of crafted this really interesting lore around the band as well. There's lots of fan theories out there that you can easily rabbit hole down, and you can be up until 2 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out exactly what this band is about and what they're up to. So it's really good stuff.
All
Can't
right.
recommend it enough. What did you think of Sleep Token? I know I sent you some stuff.
Not too shabby at all. I agree with you on many of your points in regards to it. I think that's something that I think everybody should at least take a look at if it's something of their interest. So yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
Everybody that I've sent Sleep Token stuff to, because I share music with a lot of people. I mean, it's what I used to do in my
Mhm.
previous life in radio. So when I hear new music, I still get that rush to share it with an
Yeah.
audience, right?
People need to check it out. There, it was. I thought
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Every person that I have sent Sleep Token to has been like, "Who are these people, and how have I never heard of this band until right this second?" So they're definitely worth looking into. And my favorite show, hands down, for 2023 was Blue Eyed Samurai.
Hmm, interesting.
Hands
Never
down.
even knew that was coming.
Yeah, I bet
Okay,
you
yes,
didn't.
I did. Actually, absolutely. You've been praising it for weeks. How did I not think you were going to talk about that?
Right? Now, and I know, because I know that you watched it, and I know that you were like, "No, I'm gonna save it. We'll talk about it on the best of." So I have been
Mhm.
dying with anticipation, Gerald. What did you think of Blue Eyed Samurai?
This is the only thing on my list I will actually go ahead and appear to you as far as the best or worst stuff right
Uh-huh.
now, because I'll save all that for next week for either you or Josh on either show. I have so much to run off. We'd be here all day and all night, but I do want to talk CES. I will say when it comes to Blue Eye Samurai, it is on my best of
Oh,
pop
yes!
culture for 2023
I'm thrilled.
with some caveats.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
One of the best animated series I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oof.
Absolutely, bar none.
Oof.
The voice acting is impeccable.
Mhm.
Absolutely fantastic. The story, the lore, just tremendous. Absolutely, really easy to get into. If people are just if you're squeamish, then obviously it's going to be not for you. But if you're into as far as adult animated features that tell a great story, I think that you do need to get into the Blue Eyed Samurai. The thing though is for me, there's a couple little things that take away from perfection,
Okay.
and one is the montages. They didn't have any need or anything as far as it's concerned to go ahead and put modern music in something that it's a dating back series. It's a series that's supposed to date back thousands of years, and yet you're throwing out as far as a quick montage with music that was in Kill Bill Part One, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
Right.
I just and there was there was like two or three montages. So there weren't too many of them, but when they come in, it's just like a sudden jolt of like, why do I need this? You can do a montage with music set in and around that time that I think would have fit better, but I just really think it was just it's out of place for what goes on in that series. And I just thought that was a little ding. Plus, the way it ends the season, the way the setup for the show was supposed to lead you and tie a lot of things up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it did not tie anything up.
No, it refused
Everything
to,
was left out.
actually.
It refused to and
Yeah.
left it all open and changed everything around in that final episode to go ahead
Mhm.
and make sure that it would get a blessing for a season two from Netflix.
Yeah.
That to me was irritating. I'm not
Mhm.
going to say it wasn't well done. I'm just telling you it was irritating and it was a little bit of a disappointment. I understand you could leave a couple aspects of it open,
Mhm.
but then you should create more situations from it, but at least satisfy your audience with some closure on certain aspects of the story for some of these characters.
I
I
mean,
think that, and the
I
fact that you did none of them was just absolutely irritating to me because again, I invested 8 episodes, right? If I remember, or
yeah, it's
nine.
something like that. Yeah, 8
Yeah,
or 9,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I invested all those hours into it, expecting some type of closure because it was so well made, and I didn't get it because it was just like, oh, we're just going to go ahead and give you cliffhangers on everything, or it wasn't actually cliffhangers per se. It was actually just, oh, we're just leaving this open ended for season two to tune into season two to see how this gets resolved. Maybe, and it just kind of led you on in that aspect, and the fact that they left so many things open, I guess, is great for season two. But the thing is, you were readying everyone up to close some of these things by the end of the season, and you didn't do it. And I think was just because I wanted to give this on one of my top grades of the season for anything in pop culture. I
Right.
really did,
Mhm.
really wanted to. And it's like because they left so much open ended, it made me angry. And it's still one of the best things out there, animated, out there, whether it's on Netflix or something else. But yeah, it's. Uh, ah, it's
I
like
know.
it just led me on and grabbed me by the nose and led me on through 9 episodes or 8 episodes or whatever. And it just that I found a little bit irritating, but it is extremely well done in doing so.
It really is. And I mean, without going or even like giving any kind of real spoiler, because I don't want to do that for somebody who's going to sit down and watch the show. But they did tie up a few things though. Like she got the thing back. Uh, you know what I mean?
What she got the thing back?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Without getting too many spoilers.
but it leads into something else that's open ended.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so
Like the two lovers,
it was
you
like
know, that okay,
ding,
that was supposed to be something, but no,
ding,
that's open ended,
think. They were just tying up like little tiny pink, and then that
Yeah.
was good, and then this one is good, and then this one is good, and then this one is good, and then this one
It's
is good.
all I feel like I'm looking at my shoe rack with a whole bunch of untied shoes there. So
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So they built the shoe rack, they put the shoes on it. Some of them didn't even have laces. Other ones are half tied. Others are totally tied, but the shoes on the top rack, those ones are where season 2 is going to start. They're going to build on top of that.
but that's the problem. So many things were left out, as far as left undone for season two that I just found it just disappointing as far as closure is concerned. You might as it just me, it's something that, to me, where I wanted closure on a lot of these aspects and it didn't get done because they just were, in an obvious attempt to go ahead and, advertise to Netflix, hey, we need a season two for this. And if that's the case, that's great. But still, to me, it led me on, and I was kind of disappointed for that. But let's not beat around the bush. There's still 8.5 or not, everything but the last half of the last episode is absolutely brilliant in what it does in setting up, creating a world, creating characters, interactions with each other, building a template for an outstanding series to come. And yes, I will be as eager as you are to watch Blue Eye Samurai season two.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, honestly, if you haven't watched it yet, shame on you.
And a lot of people haven't caught it, and that's on. I think Netflix has really missed the boat on advertising it,
Yeah.
and I really think that that's a shame because it is on a lot more best of lists. But that's the only way people are able to go ahead and check it out is because, oh, these shows and critics are calling it great. I guess I might as well check it out. But
Yeah.
Netflix, with all the money that it has, just seems to throw a whole bunch of stuff out there as always and see what sticks. The problem is this is something that should stick, but you didn't give it enough to go ahead and do so, as far as advertising it out there. So we'll see. It is given a season two, and we'll see if it's given more. But yeah, it is on my best of pop culture for 2023.
And I do want to give a honorable mention to the live action One Punch.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. And I know everybody's like, oh, it gets great after 150 episodes. I'm not gonna put 150 episodes of time into something that just gets good at 150. But I enjoyed the live action show. I thought that was cool.
Okay. All right. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. There were also some other good live action adaptations that I saw on Netflix. So definitely we'll be probably talking about that here in the coming days, especially Josh, who Loves his anime, so I know he will indeed. But yeah, those are our thoughts with Melinda's best of pop culture. Anything else strike your fancy outside, of course, Robbie Ross, of course?
Yeah,
What
right,
anything
right, right, right.
else strike your fancy in 2020?
Let me think, because I've got. Well, you know what? I can talk about this. So, Vampire the Masquerade, right?
Hmm.
They're forever releasing new books and more books and things like that. And they did a player's guide, this one right here,
Hmm.
and it came out in 2023. So it kind of takes that really thick core book that they have. It reorganized some of it, made some of it a little bit easier to navigate and stuff like that. Gives you some different discipline options and things like that. Worth the money, even if you have a couple of copies of it at the table for your players when they come over to play. It's not going to hurt anything. It's a really solid kind of like player's handbook for D&D versus the Dungeon Master's Guide. It's really great. I 10 out of 10 do recommend.
Well, there you have it. There is Melinda Barkhouse Ross. Melinda Barkhouse Ross, her best of 2023. If you have some best of pop culture for 2023, we'd love to hear it. Please let us know. Comment in the box below, whether on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, or go ahead and let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, heading into the new year, one of the best things about the start of the new year that I go to, and I'm very blessed to go to, is the Consumer Electronics Show, CES 2024. You and I have paraded the Las Vegas Convention Center before for NAB, or was it CES?
No, it was an AB.
As NAB? Okay.
Yep.
Yes, because we saw everything everywhere all at once as far as the
Yes.
editing and all this.
God,
Yes.
that was cool. That was so neat.
Yes. But this was for the Consumer Electronics Show, and there you could see the future of where consumer electronics is. You could see all the trends. You can see the large and smaller entities out there, whether it's somewhat a firm based overseas, whether it's a firm based in North America, whether it's small, whether it's large. You will get a chance to interact and see all of them right there in a nutshell. What's up, cool bro? Hopefully everything is well with you. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But Consumer Electronics Show 2024 for me and my travels. And the thing is, I don't stay in any lines. I learn after doing this for 28 years, I
Uh-huh.
think, roughly, because I've been blessed to do this since 1996. I've been blessed to be a part of CES since 1996. Going around, you learn all the tricks of the trade. You know how to where to get in, where do you go out. You know how to save money on parking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know where you learn all the ins and outs after doing it so many years. And one of the things you do not do right away, if you want to see what's going on and see all the trends, you do not get into any lines for any product demonstrations right away. You can save that for the end if you want to. Like Netflix had its huge chamber for gaming that they want to go ahead and show off to, but you have to wait in an hour plus long line in order to do so. Or if you want to go ahead and see some of the latest electronics, as far as as far as uh, top of the line electronics, in some occasions you might have to wait in 30, 45-minute lines. I chose not to do that. I chose to go in and out, make sure I'm checking everything out as far as the news, the trends, the what is, the what's there at CES. Obviously, looking at the TVs, CES never has a loss of televisions out there because it is one of the greatest mediums out there is the television. And just to see the type of fidelity, the 8K, the micro LEDs, the absolutely stunning picture that a lot of these televisions have, whether it's Hisense, whether it's Sony, Samsung. I saw some brilliant LG, Panasonic, Sharp. I saw some absolutely stunning TVs. And the fact that the basic size TV sets are getting larger and larger, going from in the 50s to the 60s to the 70s. Now, with a top end, I think the largest I saw I think I saw 140, if I'm not
Wow.
mistaken. I have to look at the picture, but that was micro LED. I'm not sure if that was a projector. The one I do know that was not a projector, I think was a Hisense 115, to
Wow.
give you an idea.
Mhm.
That was absolutely gorgeous. I wanted to lift it up, put it over my shoulder, and run out of the Las Vegas Convention Center. I just will say that. But unfortunately, I didn't do it. There were several security people around, so obviously I couldn't do that. But one of the interesting things that a lot of these vendors are doing is the focus on gaming, which
Mm.
was interesting because there was a gaming section and there was a representation by Stern Pinball, Netflix, like I talked about, as far as some other various gaming entities that were there. And I have a whole bunch of pictures, and I hopefully will upload them to Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook here in the coming days. But one of the interesting things was that whether it was TCL, who makes some outstanding televisions of their own, Sony, whether it was just other Samsung, the focus on gaming in their own booths, their own humongous booths, right alongside, in the case of Samsung, right alongside their washers, dryers, their future of refrigerators, whatever smart televisions that they have. The fact that all these large entities have sections devoted to gaming this year was something that threw me for a loop, because the fact is they see the future of gaming and the interactivity of these smart televisions, whether it's acquiring Games Pass, whether it's just basically the fidelity that you're showing off. Absolutely just fantastic for gamers, that the appreciation from the large entities, these corporations, these entities, whether they're small or large, the focus on gaming is absolutely greatly appreciated, because it's not always been there at CES. It has not always been there, my friend.
Well, what was the most exciting TV gaming combo that you saw?
The what?
What was the most exciting gaming TV kind of combo situation that you saw?
Oh, well, the best, I mean, this was like several times. It got
Sure.
redundant where you would
Mhm.
have as far as that, even whether it was a small vendor or a larger vendor, the sit down driving machines that are VR. Because one of the things
Right.
that was predominant that I think was a little bit overblown was VR.
Right.
AI, of course, is everything has to have AI now, because we live in an AI world. And so I
Mhm.
saw an abundance of AI there. But VR was still, even to this day, in abundance at CES, and I'm not sure the market supports it. We'll find out with the Apple Vision Pro, because everybody has heard that they announced, as far as I think, pricing and availability and when it's going to come out and all that stuff earlier this week, right around the time of CES. But VR in its of itself was absolutely abundant there. And one of the things that they would like to show off, all these vendors, small or large, was having a sit down unit with a surround TV, curve shaped TV, surround sound system popping in your ears, and the VR glasses, and having you go from there. All of them seem to want to do what was once a novelty, was once something set aside for just one part of the gaming booth, where there was just one of those machines. Now they were in abundance, whether it was in the gaming section or whether it was in the main booth like Samsung, whether it was, or Sony or something like that. It was,
Right.
they were out there and abundant, which I don't know why per se. I don't know what the purpose was, other than maybe to sell those type of units. But I really think the marketplace, it just shows me that there's so much reliance on VR as a part of the future. I'm just not thinking that the demand is quite up for it as of yet.
Yeah, and I just yeah, I feel the same about it, but and Robbie has said a few times, it's we need to get some VR headsets because we don't want to be in a situation in a few years where we're so behind in learning about this technology that we're going to be like grandparents trying to get their grandkids to show them how to work their phones. We don't want to end up in that kind of a situation. So when we are talking about it, I'm just like, I just don't think that the technology is there yet for it to be truly useful.
Or
And
enjoyable by the masses.
yeah, and I mean, maybe an augmented reality is something that I would be a little bit more interested in. I don't know, but that's where I stand on it right now anyway.
Again, it was just something I noticed that, okay, when you see one sit down driving unit, okay, it's a novelty. But when
Yeah.
you see 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, I went
Mhm.
into double digits from all the different vendors that had their own driving experiences, whether it's to show off a curved television, whether it's show off their VR, whether it's show off any aspect of it. I'm like, this is technology for the most part that has been out there for a decade plus. I've seen it at CES. Yet now it seems like all these other surprising entities got into it. I'm not sure it's the wisest use and allocation of space or funding, but hey, it's not my money that they're dealing with. But I will say though that when they go back and focus in on the particulars, like the audio equipment, obviously is just top notch as far as the
Mhm.
different type of audio experiences that you can have with Dolby Atmos, Dolby Digital, et cetera, et cetera. Just absolutely just fantastic hearing how detailed you can make the sound and the pinpoints as far as in the back of your head when you listen to it, as far as on the top of the line equipment that they have there, but also as well just the fantastic visuals. Where we are with technology just seems to get better and better. That's one of the reasons why I still go, because just going to see these fantastic pieces of technology in such a fashion and seeing how crisp and clear it is. Yes, I understand it's saturated, programmed stuff specifically designed to do just that. How will it be just showing off regular television or the football game or what have you? It's a different story, but just seeing it in that nature is just truly fantastic, Melinda. And I'm really blessed every time I get a chance to go.
Yeah, tell me how Family Feud's gonna look on that TV, and then you'll maybe sell me on something.
Family Feud in 8K. There you go. Absolutely. So you'll get to see right down to the pores of, all the
Steve Harvey, yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I will tell you, I am just extremely blessed anytime I go to CES, seeing the technology. It's interesting though that my arcade is still there and others still trying to go ahead and pawn off all these IPs that are still pole position. Well, it made a comeback that my arcade is absolutely trying to get making miniature of. They have made a miniature of, and they're going to be selling it off along with all the Pac-Man, Street Fighter, and other familiar IP derivatives that you've seen time and time
Mhm.
again. I do think that it was cool seeing Stern Pinball devote quite a bit to their newest pinball machine in Jaws, the original Jaws,
Right.
and they actually had was it the late Robert Shaw? They actually had literally a statue of him, like like something you see at Madame Tussauds,
Right.
and yeah, it's just sitting there trying to fish, and the next thing you've got a big Jaws shark at it. I have a picture of that with a pinball in the Jaws mouth. It's just interesting to see. But yeah, they've got their line of pinball machines. It's always interesting to see Stern Pinball in the middle of all this. It's going back. I've actually spoken to Mr. Stern himself, interviewed him on a episode long ago for the Pop Culture Cosmos. It was just a treat hearing him and understanding the history of pinball through him and his words anytime he's there. So yeah, it was great to see that. But yeah, just overall, again, just experiencing it. I know that there were years that like last year and the year before and the year before that when everybody fell in love with drones. So everybody had to have a year of
Yeah.
drone. There's always something that's always flowing across there. This year it was AI, VR, and those sit down, racers per se.
Mhm.
Um, Before in the past, it's been things like the Android gaming boxes. I remember when everybody had to
Yep.
have an Android gaming box, and that obviously you saw that didn't go very far. Yeah, cool, bro. Don't worry, it's just a movie. Go to Universal Studios, and they can show you how it's done there. I did the tour a couple weeks ago for the umpteenth time. I love it every time. Cool, bro thinks that Disney should remake the sequels. Um, okay, which Star Wars sequels, because the prequels I really cannot stand, and the movies that came out in the 2015s for the most part, yeah, are really not worth watching either. So I'm not a huge fan of those films, but you and I have different thoughts on the prequels, so need I digress on that. But when it comes right down to it, my friend, when you are looking at new technology,
Yeah.
you just talked about it with the Elgato.
Mhm.
What are you looking for in new technology that really will, enhance your life, so to speak?
I want a new piece of technology or a new piece of equipment or whatever to be able to slide into my life, take minimal fuss, minimal messing around to get it set up and to get it working. And the easier it is that it just kind of comes into your life and makes some aspect of it easier, the more likely I am to buy into it. And that's really what happened with those Elgato cameras. You plug it in and then boom, you're on the internet. They're really great. But I feel that way about even so I was really worried about when we got the PS5. I was worried about how am I going to get everything transferred from my PS4 over into my PS5? How is all of that going to? It did it itself. I just did it. It said, "Do you want to?" And I said, "Yes." And then I walked away and I came back. All of my like Disney Plus, I was not only the app wasn't only added to my PS5, but my account was logged in, all of that stuff. It was just easy. And that's what I like. I don't like it when I have to troubleshoot tech. I'm terrible at it. I find it frustrating. It makes me feel dumb. And I don't like that feeling. And if I continue to feel that way when I use a product, I'm going to get rid of the product as soon as possible. So, ease of use, have me not notice when it comes into my life. But if it went away, if it's really invaluable, when it goes away, I'm definitely going to notice that it's not there. And it's a funny place for technology to land, but there is technology that does that kind of stuff. So that's what I look for anyway.
What are your thoughts out there on the Consumer Electronics Show? What are you looking for in new consumer electronics that you may be interested in purchasing sometime this year or later this year when a lot of this is coming out? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode, but before we head on out, your final words on what you're up to, including the new project that just started this year.
Yes. Okay. So last Sunday, we didn't do Vampires and Vitae. I was quite under the weather, and so we had to cancel the game. So there's not a game episode, but we're gonna have our round table that we did between the holidays for you this weekend. So there's gonna be audio anyway. But for Wizards and Wine, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight wrapped in 2023, and in 2024, we're starting to release the episodes of my first homebrew. It's start to finish homebrewed, and I'm really, really proud of it. I don't know if it's good, but my table is enjoying it. So you can be the judge of that. The first two episodes now actually are online and live if you want to check them out. You can find them wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get it at popculturecosmos.com. And it's just been a lot of fun to write. There are some familiar characters from the Dungeons and Dragons world that I used in the story. And if you listen to the Wild Beyond the Witchlight stuff, you probably already have a pretty good idea of what I've carried over into the homebrew. But we're just about in the episode we're going to play tonight after this wraps up. So we're really, I guess, going to get into or start to get into, I suppose, the meat and potatoes of the campaign tonight, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm really excited about this season. I'm really proud of the work we've done. I think the table is doing a fantastic job. We decided to keep our characters from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So you have Amaryllis, Les, Divot, Bevy, and Trix. And it's the same cast of characters, the same cast of players. And yeah, we're just really proud of the work that we've done on it. So hopefully you check it out and hopefully you agree.
There you go. Please check it out. Support Melinda today, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Cool Bro asks, are you a fan of the Star Wars prequels? Because he's a Star Wars nut.
Who, myself? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't dislike them.
Unlike
they're
me,
yeah,
I dislike
I'm I'm honestly though, we do have to divulge that I really am not much of a Star Wars fan in general. I know. I'm sorry, but I'm a Trek girl. So when I do watch those prequels, I guess I'm not watching them the same way that the diehard Star Wars fans watch them. I enjoy the movies. I think that they're good. So yeah, that's where I stand on them. I'm not a huge fan, so I enjoyed the movies. I understand why, fans who've been fans for forever may not like them so much, but I also understand that a lot of people have gone back and rewatched them now, and they're like, that wasn't so bad. So opinions are changing as the movies age, I think.
Not mine, I'll tell you that's for sure. The prequels stink, and
Ah, you
whatever they did.
curmudgeon.
Uh, nope. When you watch, also the first three stink. 4 through 6 are just outstanding, and then of course 7 through 9, absolutely just yeah. 7 is tolerable at best, and then 8, 9 just basically stink. But
Oof.
yes, why don't I like the prequels? They're boring. They're derivative. The story's absolutely lame. The acting by Hayden Christensen stinks. Do you want more?
Oh my gosh. Whatever you
It's
do,
like a
Gerald,
it's like
don't hold
sand.
back.
It's like sand. It's coarse and it's rough and it's just like, oh, it's just gets in your fingers. That to me is the prequels.
Oof. Wow.
I guess the
You-
Blade Runner part when they were in Attack of the Clones is okay. I can deal with that but do you want more whiny Hayden Christensen? Go ahead and check out the prequels. There you go.
I get that. I get it.
Yeah, Ken Dunham. He is so much better now than he was then. I absolutely, it's just like miles apart as far as the Hayden Christensen acting now in Ahsoka than what we saw in the prequels. Just absolutely my Hayden. Coolbro says Hayden is the best actor ever. I think his acting is amazing. I hope you're not talking about the prequels. I hope you're talking about now because yes, but you're 14, my friend. So time will tell. You may live to regret that statement later on down the line, but that's okay. All right. But once again, it is the PC Multiverse. Melinda, awesome. Any last, as always, awesome. Your list of pop culture, best of. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yeah, if if your tabletop group is starting to feel a little bit stale, I'm going to say this until you actually do pick it up. Vason could be your answer. It's really interesting lore, very cool stories, really interesting character creation, and really easy ways to tie all of the characters together, all of that kind of stuff. It's really great. Definitely pick it up. And I know too they're starting to release modules for it as well, so you don't even have to homebrew a story.
Cool Bro says only romance in the movie I ever thought was good was Padme and yeah. Cool, bro. I've got so much love for you because you support us in the Lakers fast break. I'm gonna leave it
Oh.
at that. Yes, leave it at that. And you support us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
I will leave it at that. I will leave my prequel bashing for another day.
It's always great when Cool Bro stops by.
Yeah, you know what? Yes, it is always great when Cool Bro stops by. Again,
Yep.
to see things through his eyes at 14, absolutely. I
Yes.
can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself, and Kubro too, a great day. And may the force be with you always.